Hi everyone. New month, December 3rd, beginning of the month. Let's see what BTC is doing. This is Saturday. Week is ending from a crypto weekly point of view tomorrow. So let's have a look at it. So starting with 1 day time frame. Now, first the quick statement. BTC is all right. There is absolutely no risk at this moment. So there can be little ups and downs. It may take some time, but at this moment, the direction is up in terms of recovery. Okay, so you may hear a lot of things here and there. If anything changes, we'll see, because ultimately price matters. News do not matter. News come and go. News may not impact sometimes. So, and even if it impacts, there can be some good news countering the bad news. And sometimes even there is bad news, there can be a macroeconomic factor which is improving that bad news can be um, I would say absorbed. And sometime even there is bad news, the impact may not be huge, so it may dip but may not crash. So I think anyone who is reading a lot of news, reading a lot of social media posts, nothing wrong in reading it, but trading cannot be done on those basis. Okay. Sometimes old habit do not go easily, and I have no mean to change anyone's habit either. But a simple message is trust the price, because price is the truth. Rest is just noise. If the price doesn't change, that event has no impact or no effect or irrelevant, we can say. So price matters the most, and along with the price, the key level matters the most, because key level will tell us whether to, you know, take a right turn or left turn or pause or that kind of a action plan, keeping the driving and GPS analogy in mind. So that kind of a thing. So these key levels are like, it's this is like a map in front of you, and it is indicating at this moment that there is a traffic jam. So traffic jam means once it breaks about this, closes about this, then it will look for the next level, and then this could be the area of resistance and so on. So this kind of a little dip should not worry, because you need to understand the big picture here, and the key levels need to be always remembered, as I mentioned, if you're following. And sometimes if you're following something else, it's a choice, but then you have to realize that which one is working. Yeah. And sooner you understand which one is working better for you, because sometimes I feel that some traders take unnecessary pressure, and sometimes they ignore when there is risk. So I have seen both, because I get email and feedback that, oh, I should have closed when you called out in November, December, I should have booked profit and all that thing. um you cannot um you cannot change the past, but definitely you can say what have I learned from the past, and do something different this time. Past has passed. Past has no meaning now. Anyone who was not able to decide in a best possible way probably can just hit a reset button. I know it's tough, but you have to press a reset button and say, this is my day one, and see how you can do differently. So basically, regretting past mistake do not help anyways. Regretting only brings negative thoughts, and impair your decision. So if you have made mistakes in past, say, okay, that's a lesson learned and forget about it. Forget about it means make a rule that it doesn't happen. And as I said, hit a reset button and said, this could be a new beginning and let me do differently this time. This time, let me focus on risk management. Let me focus on sizing. Let me slow down. Let me understand how market works. Let me understand technical analysis. Let me not follow news blindly. Let me not emotionally driven and so on. So I have around 12, 13 points mentioned. If you refer academia channel on the opportunity server, there are, I think, 13 points. So if you haven't seen or referred, please, I mean, it's good to have a printout, in my opinion, just to make sure for next 12 months or so, it doesn't repeat it. I mean, those mistakes are not repeated. So this is very important time, in my opinion. I was talking to, I had a call yesterday and I mentioned that this is like a U-turn, a potential U-turn, and sometimes U-turn takes time. Unlike the road where you can see the U-turn and the measure the progress in trading, in the trend reversal, when the reversal happens, the reversal is a process. It's not like flipping a switch, and the reversal can be extended sometime. So this drop that you see, in my opinion, this is not something driven by macroeconomic reason, but this is because of the FTX related drama. So this kind of adverse event could delay the process. In my opinion, this consolidation probably would have progressed, and then recovery could have would have continued here from here on. So you may say this drop is more like a detour, and now that has the worst part is here. Then this was a retest. So this was scary for many people, but I mentioned that with a green arrow, everybody knows about it. So I had added a green arrow before this green candle even began. It was falling, and then I added a green arrow. Social media, of course, was very worried because they were looking for this low and so on. They had added the pennant, which was a continuation pattern which breaks down and so on from a big analyst. So point is, you're going to see a lot of analysis outside, which may not be as, I mean, may not be in direction that I'm providing here. So it's your decision or your call to see whom to listen, what to refer. Right. My point, I'm trying my best to make sure, and anyone who is a long time, we haven't missed any major direction, not a single one. If you go back in past, ever since we started, we called out top, we called out bottom, we called out major supports, everything that you can imagine. Even the COVID fall, we were 1 week ahead in time. Not only that, those who were on call in March 2020, they also could buy at 3300 level because we had a support level indicating precise level and so on. So at this moment, and I don't claim that I know the future or I can predict the future. And those who are telling that they know the future price are lying, simply lying, because no technique can tell you the future. What you're supposed to know is the present. As I often say, if you're healthy today, you're likely to be healthy tomorrow from a probability point of view, right? And if you're very healthy, then there is nothing going to be happen for next 1 week. You know that. But if you get a cold or cough or some kind of fever or some kind of a illness, then you know that it can go, it can deteriorate further and so on. So it's simple logic, simple health check. So when you do TA, of course, you can come up with projected values, but the projected values, remember the term projected, it's not predicted. People misunderstand. So this is not a prediction tool. You can project, like you turn on the light and then it projects the light. Depends where you direct. And being a TA, you can project on both sides, upside and downside. I can make the chart bullish. I can make the same chart bearish. and you will be convinced for both. That's true. And that's why people have difference in opinion, why there is no single or no unanimous decision in terms of direction is simply because TA has to take a side, because TA as a technique, there are multiple techniques and they can contradict. So you have to choose which one makes sense based on your experience and track record, right? So that's why TA is not a tool where you can know the future. It can equally give you the scenario on the both sides. So, so the right approach is that, for example, taking the same analogy, that you, whether you're driving or whether it's about health, you know that up to certain speed, it's safer. Up after that, it's not. It's everything in the universe, it's like that. If you eat, you know what is the limit. If you overeat, what happens, right? In health, if you have fever of 104, you know there is something to be done. And if you see more symptoms, you know. So you don't go to the hospital. What you do is you try to medicate yourself, and then there are stages. Okay, there are stages of health, right? Nobody goes to ICU, and even if you are in ICU, nobody thinks about the worst because there is always a chance of recovery and so on. But it's a process. The process is incremental process. It is not like a flipping switch. People have, when people do not have enough patience, they always think about, oh, is it bottom? They ask rubbish question. um Sometimes I understand why they ask question, but I think they are not educated. They don't know. They think that somebody knows the future, and they are looking for those people who probably could give. And there are people who will tell confidently that this is the bottom, or this is going to hit so and so number and so on. But in reality, those who are realist and practical, those know, they know that this is this is about probability. This is about understanding the recent trend, understanding the present, and then you try to project. Yeah, you try to project, and then see if the projection is right. You validate that projection. So that's what we do on a weekly basis. What we do is we project uh, with the different scenarios, different key levels in mind, and then always and then update ourselves, you know, that okay, whatever I projected, is it on track? Yes, then we go for the next. Like the way we walk, right? We take a step, one step at a time. Even if you drive, you just see 100 meter in front of you, 200 meter in front of you, not 10 miles or 20 miles. But you don't need to, because if you have visibility, near-term visibility, and if the visibility is consistent, you can travel hundreds of miles, thousands of miles. So you don't need to have a visibility. First of all, you cannot do it. It is not possible. So I think more than TA. First, people need to understand what you can get out of TA, because unrealistic expectation is number one reason why people are misguided. So first of all, even before knowing the levels, first of all, we need to understand the game of trading. We need to understand the capability of TA. And definitely TA is always a step ahead than any other methodology in my experience, and I have proven it. I'm specifically mentioned a step ahead. I'm not saying 10 step ahead. We cannot know the future, far-fetched future, but definitely we can think about a potential next step, and that's enough. That's more than enough. In fact, you don't need more than that. um, so that's what we are attempting here, and so far so good. We are on a right track, right side. There's another thing. It's very important that you are on the right side of the trade, right? Whether you are taking long, it's the right side. Whether when to take short, it's about, you know. So selecting the side is also very important. If you if so, first of all, the side has to be, the direction has to be correct. and then we try to achieve the key levels. So now when it is consolidating here, it's not coincidence, it's a resistance. Prior to that, I had added a blue line, not after it, when it had a green candle, because I calculated resistance and then it retraced. But then I updated, there is nothing to worry because the retracement was not that deep. So sometime I had to measure online, I mean real time, and then update you, which you get on Bitcoin analysis. Okay, anyway, so this was the most important level from where it bounced. Okay, and then now this is on a perfect level where it's consolidating, and this is where I'm expecting it to or projecting it to break out on the upside. Now, of course, the blue level is going to be the immediate support, and the warning level is the secondary support. Unless and until this warning level is breached, there is nothing that there's no need to think about any potential downside scenario. I may have to recalculate in case it goes down. I may have to readjust, which I'll do. I'm not touching it because it's not even close to that. So at this moment, there's nothing to think about anything on a negative side or a downside. Okay. And this is very important because, as I mentioned, if you are thinking on a wrong side, then everything goes wrong. Right. Okay. So that's BTC on 1 day time frame. We can have a quick look at the monthly and weekly. So I'll switch to weekly, the Bitstamp. So weekly, we got second green candle, which is very positive. Hmm. So this is progress. When it was here, it was dicey, no doubt about it. Even this candle ended with green, but middle of the week it was red. So this was also on edge. So definitely it was on edge, and of course there was potential downside risk. However, this is much better. I'm not saying this is out of the woods, no way. But of course, this is a process of recovery, as I said. There's no need to think that it's going to go down. At the same time, we cannot think that it's totally out of the risk. So there is no risk, of course, no risk. It's green candle and making progress. So what we would like to see that it continues on the upside, continue with a recovery like this, and next week it starts with a green candle and continue making progress. So I would say so far so good. We can have a quick look at the monthly. The monthly is not so good. Okay, so the monthly has to improve. So one nice pump, let's say 18K plus, will definitely help. What we really want is 21K, if you ask me. 21K plus will tell us that now this monthly has no risk, because what happens time frame point of view, the low time frame changes first and the higher time frame, right? So if the daily is improving, then eventually the weekly improves. If the weekly improves, then eventually monthly improves. That's how it is. And the same thing when the trend reverses on, like from the bull trend to bear trend similarly. So uh, that's why when someone says I'm bullish or bearish, is always with respect to the time frame. Okay, it's never about a coin. It's always about what time frame are you talking about, right? So those who have taken trade, they long back, even like the BTC is having a bull run actually for last 12 years. It hasn't gone down. What you see, the bear market, so-called bear market on a 12 years overall wave or trend point of view, these are three or four downtrends, um, but not but the big picture point of view, it's if I zoom out like this, it's going up. right? And in between there are corrections, so to speak, from a big picture point of view. But this is only for those who are in the trade in like in early times like these, or somewhere here or somewhere here. Even for them this doesn't matter much, and that's why some of the old timers, they think this is nothing, this is nothing. And sometimes people misunderstand, they're saying nothing because they entered early, right? For those who enter somewhere higher, it's a big deal. So again, a perspective. When people say, you know, that this is not a threat, or this is not a level to worry, because they would be in profit probably, but we cannot say the same. So the perspective changes based on your entry. Perspective changes based on your time, based on the time frame you track. So it is very individual. That's why I comment on different time frame, and we cannot say that in general that this is fine or this is now bad. So it has to be related to time frame. So from a monthly point of view, it's still weak. It has to do better. So as I said, 18K plus will give will improve, and 21K is what we want. 20, if it hits 21K, then I think we are we can say the monthly is totally all right, healthy. Okay. So that's monthly, and sometimes you don't have to complicate things, as I mentioned, right? The key levels are important, size is important, and sometimes going with a slower moving coin is a good idea when things are not clear. And when things improve, then go for a faster moving coins, because there's plenty of time. Sometimes, social media put pressure on people. They FOMO for no reason. There's no need to FOMO because there's enough time. It's not that tomorrow you wake up and coin is going to be, somewhere like 20K, 30K. It's not going to happen that way. So there's plenty of time to think and plan. And I would say, yeah, we need to be relaxed. Okay. If this is if this is a reversal in process, then the next cycle is likely to for multiple months. And if the multiple months, what happens if the trend goes up, uptrend continues for multiple months, then there's always money to make. So there's no need to hurry, there's no need to take unnecessary risk, there's no need to do a lot of in and out. Not financial advice, but I'm sharing my experience that that's a sign of mature trader, mature investor, that they understand what is really happening, what might happen, what are the key levels, what is trend reversal, how it works, and why you need to give some time for it to reverse. So those things need to be understood, and those are more important than simple resistance support, because those who think very short term, probably they are not a they may make money probably short term, but I'm not so sure consistently, because um, it's very difficult to consistently make money with a short term trading in my experience. So swing trading is so important, and that's why we have two channels. Yeah, when the time is bad, you take advantage of something, that's fine. But the good one is the opportunity channel, those 15 coins that I update. That's the ride of those coins actually will take you a long way, in my opinion. And those in on tridents are nothing wrong. I mean, but you cannot do forever. That's my point. You get exhausted, and consistency of winning and all that also. So maybe it's more like short term play with some money. Those you cannot put 100% in that. It should be so. Again, not financial advice, but you have to you may split, say 70-80% for opportunity related coins, where you get the update on a weekly basis, and maybe 20-30% too for navigator, trident, something like that. So that can be a good approach in my point of view. Again, not financial advice, but one of the best practices that I see. So let's start with the altcoin. And if you have a question, I'll answer them about Bitcoin. But let's begin on a weekly. Again, because we focus on swing. What so those who are new. So let's say this was a COVID fall, like taking Atom as an example, and then the swing began from here from next, and then continued until this. So in between there were hiccups, there were corrections, but the trend continued, and of course the trend failed somewhere here, right? So and in case of Atom, it didn't go down deep or it recovered fast because it's one of the strongest coin, we know that. um the point is, this could be the bottom, and the bottom is realized retrospectively always. Bottom is not, you cannot say this is bottom, like not like if you're climbing a mountain, you can say, oh, that's a valley. That's easy because you know that's a ground. Okay, but here the ground changes, so you can imagine, there is no sense of what is the ground level. Then you realize the ground where you started climbing. Only when you reach certain height, then you can say, oh, that was a ground, plain fields. And that's so it is like that. The bottom is like that. Okay. So when this breaks above this one example, the orange line, we can say this was the bottom. Okay, right now we can say this is a potential bottom, but we cannot say this. So for an example, this is the bottom we know of for this particular swing. But when you are here, you could not say that. No way you can say that this is the bottom. You could say, okay, this is a potential bottom. But when you see it moved up, then retested this level, from it broke out and then started, then you can say this is really a bottom now, because now making another leg up and so on. So similarly, when it dropped, nobody can say this is a support. We identified the support, amazing bounce, and this retracement. And this is add-on, as I said, FTX move, as I mentioned on BTC. I won't repeat it. This is more like a forced detour, not something which is planned or in the game. So this sometimes happens, right? If the player gets injured for some reason, even the top player has to sit and lose the game. I mean, somebody will play, and sometimes some like rain or something like that could delay the game, something like that. So yeah, I think that's a good analogy. So nice soccer game is happening, and this is more like rain in middle, and then probably some halt or delay, but it's not that the game is over. Yeah, something like that. So sometimes this is what happens, that event like FTX has delayed the process of recovery. Otherwise, this would have gone up. In fact, even the COVID fall that happened here was also a detour, because it was totally unseen, unexpected event happened globally. Otherwise, this wave would have progressed from here instead of here. So it's like that, and it happens. So this is more larger scale, and this is a smaller scale. But even it's effective. I mean, it's a similar behavior, that there are macroeconomic, because macroeconomy is driving the trend. Remember, right? Which we recognize and follow closely, right? DXY, bond yields, and make central banks decision. Those are very important, because they are the money supplier, or they decide the credit, how expensive the credit would be, and so on. So those are the driving factors for any growth asset. Crypto is a growth asset, so they require a lot of credit. So there are when you need a lot of credit, all this pump that you see is not from cash. It's from credit. Yeah, people take credit and pump it, and then of course they repay the credit and then earn the, well, that's how it is. Nobody, the big pump is the anyway in the system. Also 90% plus is credit. When you talk about money, there are two components: credit and cash. When you talk about money, And credit is 95% probably in the system. Cash is very small. So that's a reality. And I would say, because the moment you, even simply you swipe your card when you buy some clothes or any small item in the shop, the moment you swipe, you could generate credit. You would have cash in bank, but actually that cash is not touched. You create a new credit. So each time, and everybody swipe card, nobody use. So that's why credit is rising. So credit money is more in the system, and when the credit becomes expensive, it put pressure on an asset because that's the food. Credit is food, right? If the food becomes expensive, then people try to, um, I mean, use wisely, or may not push, spend a lot of money in that. So that's what happens. So credit is food, and the food supply was constrained by the Fed or central bank. That's why it corrected. It's simple, simple, right? So that's why we monitor that, and we have DXY in control because the dollar is expensive. The dollar is expensive. The dollar is expensive. That means the credit is expensive. If the credit is expensive, then the asset is going to be expensive. So people don't invest that much. Very simple equation. Yeah, the big game. We also, so we I personally follow the big game, also TA. So it's not just TA. Big, I follow fundamental, but not fundamental of crypto. Like testnet is released, or this feature is released, or this crypto project has tied up with that crypto. Those are tiny things. They do not change the trend. The big thing, economy, inflation, those kind of a thing, change the trend. Okay, and my focus is that plus TA. So that's my, though these are my tools. So when I analyze everything, keeping in mind those factors and TA together. Other updates, people too much, 90% of the people, or 99% of the people, focus on news. Those news do not change the market, though maybe for a day or two, but do not change the trend, to be precise. They do not change the trend. They may change price here and there a little bit, but do not change. Action from Fed like that change the trend. Right? Action from a global event like COVID, that changes the trend. And how long it lasts depends on how long that event continues, and so on. So at this moment, so that's why I'm saying clubbing together everything, TA plus those macroeconomic factors, there is no potential risk, there's no immediate risk that I foresee as far as the recovery is concerned. But if there is any new factor comes in, we'll see. So let's continue with the Atom. But I think it was very important topic, so I digressed a bit. But let me come back. I am on the on. So Atom is one of the strongest one. So this now again it began recovery, as you see, right? So this is low. This is another low. So of course this low becomes the support. So maybe now it's a good idea to add a support here at a low. I'll just make it a round number, 8.07. So this has to be tracked from a swing point of view. BNB, nice bounce, approaching the next level, and so on. So this is on a recovery path. Sorry, AVAX, my bad. AVAX. Recovery. BNB also recovering. Uh, so this is more like, yeah, more or less the same thing. So we can expect it to continue this kind of trajectory. This ups and down are not so important. The path is important. The direction is important. Okay. Yeah, and of course, this is the critical level for 258 is the critical level for BNB. Otherwise, you can expect it to continue on the upside. Uh, CRO, CRO, a lot of bad news on CRO, or I would say rumors, and that's why it's under pressure. We're keeping the coin because there's no, it's not dead exchange or nothing is proven yet, so there's no need to assume things. If we'll see, price will reflect, you know. So at this moment, it's under pressure, so nothing much we can say. But once the rumor goes away, then the same coin which is beaten up could also gain a lot because the factor which was affecting or affected the price would no longer present. So of course the reverse will happen. So that's important thing. And so yeah, right now it's more speculative that crypto.com is in trouble. That's why it's under pressure. But once let's say if it's not the case, if we don't know, but if price will tell us in other way. If price goes starts moving up, then we'll know that investors are or big traders are pushing the price up, means they're changing the mind about the potential downside. Doge is amazing. Well, this is one of the front runners I already announced, right, with BNB. So it's important that this move was a uh, retest of a weekly trend reversal, and so this is now going up. Okay, so this is totally okay. In fact, one of the strongest coins at this moment from a trend point of view, uh, along with Atom and BNB. Right. So some coins are still near the support, but with time they could improve. So it's they could improve. Like DOT is much better this week, I would say, much better than prior. So it's now recovering and trying to go up. Right. Sorry. Then EGLD getting better. It had a pretty good week last week, in fact, if you compare to other coins. And this week is also much better. And so once this is broken, it will try to go for the orange level. So definitely it's in a path of recovery. On a path of recovery. ETH is also improving, as you could see, right? So same thing. Filecoin is also improving much better. Nothing, no major move though, but it's okay. It has a, it is capable of making big move like this one or this one. So it could charge up anytime. So I would like to highlight Filecoin. It's not, no coin is my favorite coin, but this could be one of the coins which could shine in 2023 simply because on the point of view it has potential, and also fundamentally speaking it is being used, the use is increasing. There can be some news that tells otherwise, but my interpretation is this could remain relevant and in use, and in 2023 this could be one of the coins which could shine. Okay, Flux is much better. Last week it tried to make a huge move, and now you see it got rejected from the orange, which is totally fine. This is also retraced from the white, which is fine. So when you track daily, you're going to see a lot of ups and downs, but you can clearly see that how it is making progress. Focus on the lows, don't focus on the high. FTM, amazing, isn't it? So amazing. This week is totally super, like a strong green candle. And once it orange is broken, then I think it's going to even go faster, in my opinion. So this is more like a heavy resistance zone, but once it breaks above the orange, we can see, uh, it going even faster. Fast or slow, I think what I mean is then it has lesser resistance. I think that's the right way to put, because We cannot predict the price, but we can say it is likely to. So in other words, we can say if the resistance is lower, then it is likely to be faster. If there is no traffic jam, then you can speed up. It's like that. Okay, so HNT is in trouble at this moment. It's pretty weak. Not broken, no new low, so which is fine, but it doesn't look healthy at this moment. So there's only one coin that I see where I would say this is on edge, but it's not crashing, right? But definitely not something I would touch at this moment unless it improves, turns green at least, goes and breaks about 2.6, 2.62 kind of a level, then probably it makes sense. KCS is in also trouble. I think that's again a rumor or news. That could be right, but as I said, price, we follow price. Because I think what I heard that they're offering high APRs. So they are speculating, they are offering high APR means they want more liquidity to save themselves, because and that could be true. That could be true. We don't know the real reason, but logically speaking, that could be true, because why anyone would offer way higher APR only, um, that entity or firm requires more cash or liquidity to cover something which they had is in is at risk. So they would try to get more investment to cover what they are in probably, and then they'll once they improve, then they'll say, okay, we'll provide. So it's more like they're borrowing, in other words, because anyway, APR, I mean that it's a lending business, right? But I think they're offering more and attracting more because they need more liquidity. So definitely it's a red flag. And so that's news event. But price is also telling us. So without looking at the news, you can clearly say that the KCS is in under pressure, if not crashing, but definitely under huge pressure. You see, there's no sign of bounce here. It is one of the good ones, but situation changes and we have to change our stand. We cannot just, that's why I say don't marry to a coin. Don't have attachment to any coin, because the moment you attach, you won't be able to see objectively. You have to detach yourself and always be with the strong ones. Name of the coin is not important. Health of the coin is important, right? Coin is just a ride. There should not be any sentimental value. For example, coin like Luna was a star coin. What happened to Luna? FTT also was one of the star coins, at least decent one in terms of performance. What happened to that? And many other coins. So don't have attachment to any coin, even that coin. And I learned that sometimes human mind is like that, because if the coin is like, if that coin made money in past, that you get attached to that coin, that, but it's not a, you don't need to do that. It's not like human relationship that somebody did a favor, you have to return a favor, or you're obliged in some way. It's just a coin, it's just a marketplace, which was interesting that people could think that way. I mean, I won't criticize, but it's a human nature, because human nature applies the relationship of real life into trading, which is dangerous. So you help me, of course I'll be obliged to help you. That's human nature. It's not a business, but that's how we think. That's how we are wired. So if a coin gives you a good trade, let's say, that you get attached to the coin and then you don't see, and that's dangerous. So that's why over time I keep on reminding that no need to have a love affair with coin. Coin is just a ride. We will keep KCS, will not drop it, because it hasn't made new low. And also we need to see how it behaves right with the current development. But I would highlight this is not the right coin right now. But so specifically, I'm pointing out. So HNT KCS are risky coin at this moment. Okay. Chainlink much better. Nice last week. This is much better. So this is getting stronger as you could see. Recovering 50% recovery, pretty decent one. Matic is also one of the strong coins, similar to BNP. Excuse me. It's likely to make progress like this. Sandcoin improving. I would not say amazing, but much better. No immediate risk. Sol also last week was a nice one. This is this week little weak, but moving away from the low, so which is positive. Again, this is a coin, a victim coin. So they had to sell because they had collateral, so Sol as collateral, and when they were troubled with liquidity, they had to sell their collateral to cover their, borrowing. So that's what happened. So Sol was a victim. So that's what sometime a good coin becomes a victim. So you have to give away Sol if you had that as a collateral and your business in trouble. What do you have to do? For example, you have your house as a collateral when you take a mortgage from bank. So as long as you pay your mortgage, yeah, house loan, you are fine. You get to keep your house, which is like an asset, a beautiful home. You don't want to give up or I mean, you don't want to, yeah, uh, sell it. But what if your income goes away? What if you are not able to pay the loan amount to the bank? Bank is going to take your house no matter what. That's what happened. So people had to give up their soul because they made a mistake in their decisions. So Saul, so there's nothing wrong with the house or home, right? Similarly, there's nothing wrong with the Saul, but it's just a victim. So that's why it's beaten up. What we don't know is how much Saul is still there with those bad actors or actors in trouble, so to speak. So at this moment, I would say Saul as a project, as a coin is good, but because of the reason I mentioned, we don't know how much they have to sell even further to cover their borrowing, right? We, but so the chart is telling that it's recurring, but it's not somewhere here. But if I don't give, I'm without any financial advice, this can be I would be interested, like I would take a baby step and say, okay, not a lot, but can I start with something like approach? Because if it improves, then I can have a pretty decent start, but keeping the lows in mind, so I would not be committed. And the same time, I would not be ignoring. That kind of approach makes sense for some, in my opinion, because this is really under pressure because of the situation, not because of the ability of the project platform. Yeah, but yeah, ultimately, again, so we took an example of KuCoin where the platform could be in trouble. Here, platform is not in trouble, but the coin for different reasons. So see the difference. But if when we go with the chart, it doesn't matter. The reason could be anything. The chart is telling that okay, this is not at immediate threat, but not something, not like Doge or not like Atom or not like, you know, um, I would say, which other coin we had a strong one, Link or FTM at this moment in this week, like that, right? So yeah, I think that ends. I believe I covered everything. Bitcoin, altcoin, I covered other thing. Oh yeah, let's cover um, this dollar index. So dollar index has made new low, weekly low, as you see. So it's going down, and it's weakening even further. There is there's one support near 103.4 level. I would say somewhere here, 104, which I think we'll monitor. Okay, there's one support here. There's it's a band actually, but at this moment out this support. So when it reaches here, we'll observe how it behaves, right? But you see, this is a huge uptrend, and this is correction, correct? So this is pretty deep, but not and trend point of view, it's tricky actually. It hasn't broken and the trend, unfortunately. Okay, so I'm not trying to scare anyone, but in reality, it hasn't broken. But you cannot wait up to this. And I mean, if you wait until it fully breaks, then probably because this it's like other coin will start moving up, and they have moved up, as you could see. So it's a choice, but DXY is still, so I think 103 to 104 is a huge is a last is the last support zone, so to speak. Yeah, so I'll depict like this. Very simple approach. So here is the checkpoint from DXY point of view, and it could bounce, and a bounce also we had to because remember, support is not a reversal. The bounce is important. So here also it bounced, but not high enough. Here also it bounced, but not high enough. Here also. So there was first bounce, second bounce, third bounce. So you see there were three major bounces, all failed. So from here also it could bounce, but then we have to see. So when it bounces, of course, it's going to put pressure because there is inverse relationship, but not necessarily it will change the trajectory. You see, the trajectory of this coin, sorry, the XY index hasn't changed. Down, down, down. Similarly, for example, it started going up, and in between there were corrections like this one, first one, second, third, fourth, and countless. So the corrections were there for week, 1 week, 3 week, here 4 weeks, and longer time, and so on. However, the trajectory didn't change, means it kept on moving up. So similarly, it is going to bounce. Sometimes people are too sensitive, right? On a 1 day bounce of DXY or 1 day. Don't do that. Simply don't do that. Understand the trend here. I keep on repeating. Don't be so sensitive that it dipped. Why BTC didn't bounce? Sometimes it's not that BTC is inversely, I mean 100% inversely dependent on the XY. If the XY dips, not necessarily BTC will bounce because it's not a law or rule. There is a dependency, but it's not a rule. So no need to be so sensitive about it, and especially no need to be sensitive about 1 day. No, just try to understand the trend here. Big game, right? And as you see, there are three attempts over first, second, third. So there could be fourth one. And when it did, so you have to understand that it is likely to happen, but doesn't mean that um, it will bring down BTC and change, make a new low. Not necessarily. So that's how I see. Yeah, and we'll be make monitoring it, and you will get update about it. So you don't have to. But yeah, if somebody wants to be under tension or concern, as I mentioned earlier, be my guest. And then nobody can help. Otherwise, yeah, life is beautiful. Even there are challenges, life is always beautiful. You need to know how to live your life. Similarly, you need to know how manage your trading. There's always going to be bad news, but not necessarily to change the direction. Okay, so I think I covered everything, and I mentioned announce I have personal emergency, personal challenge. So uh, I'll be focusing on that. However, I'm not going to be offline totally, but I'll be updating you guys, but not like every day like I do. So uh, yeah. Um, but I think you have enough information from my end. You have enough guideline from my side. Sometime I repeat, so I believe that this is recorded, so you may revisit and try to understand, and don't make habit of myself. Some saint used to praise me and or still praise me, but I told, and she appreciate, and she always says it's always good to have a reminder from you, and I always used to tell her, don't make a habit of me. I mean, you have to you have to understand without me saying next time, because I mean, I'm here, but not necessarily I'm going to be there. I would like everyone to be independent eventually. That's one of my goals actually. I would be very happy when we say, Mihir, I learned enough and goodbye. I'm not saying you should leave or I would like you to leave, but of course I would like to be with me. I mean, I would like you to be with me, but point is, uh, eventually I'm expecting everybody becomes independent, like a small kid, like sometime you take care and then, but eventually it, the bonding doesn't go away, but there's a sense of independence. That independence should come. Association remains same, but you see, when the child grows like that, when the trader has to grow and then become independent, so our bonding will not be broken. We are always bonded, together, whether on channel or maybe offline, wherever. But the point is, I would like everybody to learn. I'm not saying you follow me blindly, but um, um, I'm offering something valuable in my point of view because it worked for me. Um, so so I whatever would tell to saying that don't make habit, that I'll repeat guideline, repeat things, and then you would like it. But I think don't make habit of it. Anyway, so I would say, yeah, see you next time. If not, I'll try to provide you video update, if not online like this. But yeah, recording at least something important. We'll be in touch. Anyways. Okay, before I leave, any question? I know the only three of you on call. But any question? I'll stop the recording here and then ask question.